You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Analese.
This is Rob.
And this is Dr. Intern Joan.
And we are your nerd best friends.
The Nerd Book Club is back, and this time it's all about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is Nerd Best Friends, where we celebrate the nerdy conversations you're already having or wish you were. We're your nerdy companions on a quest through cosplay, comics, D&D, pop culture chaos, and all things wonderfully weird. If you're loving the ride, hit subscribe, follow, or share this episode with your fellow nerds, because the algorithm needs a little nudge from the nerd herd. Let's make Season 5 our nerdiest adventure yet.
This is episode 82. So excited that our Nerd Book Club is back. We have Dr. Intern Joan back. We have Patreons in the studio. What an exciting day. How y'all doing?
Everything's going great for Oboberto.
By the way,
Yes.
Congratulations to Rob.
Thank you
Rob
very
is
much.
now one of like 100 people in the world who are certified CTOs, C3TO, as I like to say. Big deal, Rob. You finished your program and you are like big boss now.
Well, sure. Nothing really changes except that I'll just be even more insufferable. But thank you very much. It was a lot of work and I tried my best and I did it. So it's
And to
great.
graduate, it's almost like defending a dissertation. You had to do a big presentation in front of a whole lot of people.
It wasn't a lot of people. I think a lot of people might have been easier. It was a small panel of people who were just like staring daggers at me and grilling me afterwards. But
Then it's just like a dissertation defense.
Exactly. That's a dissertation right there.
Well,
So,
congratulations.
there we go.
And we have some nerd mail.
Nerd mail.
For Nerd Mail this episode, we're going back to episode 80 and our Halloween Spook Fest. We got some comments on our social media pages because one of my top 5 lists for Halloween was Halloween episodes of Buffy. And I remember talking to you. You had asked if they did one every season. I said, no, I only think they did 2 or 3, and mistakenly said I didn't think there was one in season 6. That was all heavy because Buffy came back from the dead. Thank you to our listeners for responding on our social medias to nerd correct me, which I'm totally always happy for. But the seasons of the Halloween episodes, were they even seasons 2, 4, and 6, which I don't remember it being in season 6, but I trust y'all. Fellow Buffy nerds, thank you.
Well, what happened in the episode?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I remember each Halloween episode, but I don't remember which was in which season other than the first one in season 2.
Joan, which one was the season 6 one?
I mean, I don't know either.
I'm shocked.
I want to say it's the Halloween episode, but no, because Riley's there, and Riley's not in season 6, so I think that's season 4.
Riley.
But there's a Halloween one where they go to a party where they've accidentally released a demon, and they're all scared of it all the entire episode, and they're in a frat house because they're in college, and then the demon ends up being like this big, and the Buffy just stomps on it, and the whole end joke is like Giles looking at the book at the end going, I should have translated the text because under the text in whatever language it says actual size. I remember that one, but I don't remember the season 6 one.
So season
Waka,
6 is
waka.
when Dawn lies and says she's going to spend the night at a friend's house. It's because it's the Dawn episode. We don't remember it, obviously.
Was that the one where she starts like making out with a vampire dude?
That's the one.
That's a Halloween episode?
Apparently.
Okay.
They go to a haunted house, some of them. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, there you go. It wasn't a memorable Halloween episode. Nonetheless, our fellow Buffy nerds who listen to our podcast, thank you for reminding us of that gem season 6.
Thank you for reminding me about Josh Whedon's weird foot fetish.
There's that as well. Well, she didn't stomp on him barefoot. She had her Buffy
Okay.
boots on.
Well, I don't know.
We can't
Maybe
talk
that's
about
a thing.
feet.
But I did see Quentin Tarantino as well, right? I did see a meme that Uma Thurman, who was in Kill Bill, her and Ethan Hawke's daughter was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And there's a meme out there saying like one of the first things she told her daughter, you're going to work with Quentin Tarantino, keep your shoes on.
I heard from listener Ish, and we talk about Hoopla a lot. In fact, I read the subject of today's episode on Hoopla. I love it. I'm constantly talking about what a great resource it is for comic books. But what I was reminded of is not all Hooplas are the same. because it's funded through your public library, either your city or your county, however you join your library. And those libraries may pay for different tiers of service within Hoopla. So I did get feedback of like, I don't know what you're talking about, Rob. There's no comic books on Hoopla. And it's like, let's look at, what city did you sign up for your library card in? And oh, that's a different city than me. They must have different things. Although I don't know if this is defrauding the government, but I'm pretty sure you can just get a library card online from like a good library that has everything, and they don't got to know about it.
Joan talked about that sometime earlier in a previous season about how there were some online just saying, we don't care where you live. Here's free public library cards. What's interesting as well that you mentioned that is I live in Mendocino County now, and on my district issue iPad, I have Hoopla with my Mendocino Library membership attached to it. So I went there because I wanted to read it on the iPad, the bigger screen, and it said, your county is not supporting Hoopla at this time. And I've done a ton of stuff through their Hoopla on my iPad. So I'm thinking there might also be some weirdness with current government shutdown stuff and public funding, because there's been everything on the Mendocino County Hoopla in the past. However, on my phone, it still auto logs me into my Santa Barbara County. And so I was reading it on my phone, which, I had to like blow up every screen with my old eyes. But what about you, Joan? Do you have any issues with your library in Hoopla?
No, fully accessible. Everything's good. And I wonder if it has something to do with, we just had a graphic art museum open up here. And I learned that there's the largest amount of comic book artists here than many other places. So it makes me assume that lots of people are using Hoopla, so they're getting their money's worth if they're using it for comics.
You were also saying a couple episodes ago that Dark Horse is centralized there in Oregon as well, so that makes sense.
Our Hoopla is I believe, our libraries are funded locally through weed money. So that's why ours are operating on all 8. We grow lots of weed in this county.
It doesn't mean, well, to listener-ish or anyone else who's listening, if your library is not supporting Hoopla, there are other online avenues that some libraries use, and some are more localized depending on where you live, what they support. So if it's not Hoopla, it's got to be something. Call your local library and ask. They will be more than happy to help you find whatever digital format that they support for checking out media.
Grieve with you if they cannot offer you an option.
That's true. They will be the first to tell you, we love Hoopla. We've been told we can't have it. Write your local congressman or whoever.
Flood them with postcards. Give us our Hoopla.
Ooh, yes.
Send your deep thoughts, nerd questions, or talk nerdy to me subjects that you'd like us to cover by sliding into our DMs, or send those topics in to podcast@nerdbestfriends.com.
And now Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
And Supergirl.
Right, it's our nerd book club.
Yeah, I was excited. I was excited for you guys to read this. I'm glad that James Gunn put a drunk Supergirl stinger at the very end of that movie last summer so that we could get excited about convincing my friends to read this great book.
Hey, Rob, let's start with the basics. When did this book come out? Who is it by? Give us the deets.
Oh, well, let me just go ahead and open up the front cover here because I was not prepared for that question and I didn't write it down. You got this.
If only you'd borrow the paper copy.
If only I had a paper copy.
Thanks, Josh. I'm keeping that in.
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow came out in 2021. It's written by Tom King with art by Bilky Evely, colors by Mateus Lopez, and lettering by Clayton Cowles. How about that?
They all live in Oregon.
They may all live in Oregon. I don't know where Tom King is. I know that Tom King is a prolific comic book writer, though, and it is no surprise that this award-winning book was written by Tom King.
Okay, thank you for those stats.
A brief synopsis is this is a story. It's often been described as like a space western, or it's very much the story of the novel True Grit, which was a John Wayne movie in the 60s. And then it was like somebody else movie in the early 2000s. And it is the story of a precocious young girl who leaves her farm looking for a man with true grit. In this case, is looking for a woman to help her avenge the unlawful death of her father on their family farm. And this little girl is consumed with getting vengeance for the death of her beloved father, and goes out to town looking for help, looking for someone that is big and strong that she can team up with and pay to go murder this man who killed her beloved father. And it is very charming in all iterations I've seen for this little girl, with her extremely verbose way of speaking and extra big vocabulary. And because it's a Western, I always hear, the young girl's voice with that country accent and all the big words. And it just absolutely is charming and warms my heart. And that's what Supergirl Woman of the Tomorrow is.
Boom, boom. All right. So how does this version of Supergirl differ from the more traditional beacon of hope that we usually see?
I can jump
Joan,
in.
go first. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not on the pedestal of perfection like we hold Superman. Superman can do no wrong typically, and Kara is definitely not in this comic.
Absolutely. And I would say that it puts Supergirl in a position of being more like a real person, as crazy as that seems, because she's larger than life and ultimately powerful, but she has some depth. Now, Supergirl, I don't know a ton about modern Supergirl. I know Supergirl has had some different iterations for sure. I think of Supergirl as back in like the seas from the Legion of Superheroes, where it was all like the teenage heroes like Matter Eater Lad and Lightning Lass and Superboy and Supergirl. And it was very much a teenage superpower high school drama type thing back then. And so they were all worried about, does my hair look good for, bouncing boy when we go to the space malt shop and stuff like that. So this is very different Supergirl than that. I would say this is very different Supergirl than the Supergirl TV show that was on a few years ago, which was a great iteration. And there were a lot of nods to the Legion of Superheroes. Dream Girl was there and Brainiac 5 was there. And these are all characters from like the early 60s were in that show. But she was grown up. It wasn't really like a teenage high school kind of story, but still very different than this version of the Supergirl character, who is at times a tragic character, definitely dealing with some demons from her past.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of landed too. And I'm just going to say it right out front. I struggled reading this one, and it's not a like or dislike issue for me. I struggled. And one of the things I struggled with is here we have a not so fun, bouncy beacon of hope, I think is a good way to put it, Supergirl that we've seen in other versions of this character. This character is a mess, and she's displaying her trauma, and we meet her in this comic going to a bar on a red planet where she knows her powers will be subdued for the sole purpose of just getting trashed.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting in disguise in the back of a bar getting drunk. This was a tough read.
It's very wordy.
It's not the wordiness of it as much as it's just heavy. This Supergirl is heavy in a way that we have not ever seen either Supergirl or Superman or anyone from Krypton be this trauma-filled and fueled by just that. It's very different.
That's a good point.
And the subject matter too, right? As we go through the story and see the atrocities of Clem from the Yellow Hills, the loathsome man that killed my father in cold blood on our family farm, it's rough out there.
Yeah.
Which also speaks to that like Western oeuvre, right? As you're traveling through these like weird, in a Western, you travel to all these different little outposts and weird towns, and all the towns, they've got something going on, right? There's something weird and underhanded or tragic and terrible to uncover when you're out there in the far reaches of space kind of thing.
Which is
Definitely.
where the verbosity of Ruthie got to me. If we're calling her Ruthie or Ruth, I don't know. It distracted me from the stories on each of the planets when she started just extrapolating and talking her talk. It took away from those adventures for me.
Really? I find it just amazing. Okay, let's loop back around. Snake Draft, Analese. This story puts Kara in morally gray situations. Do her choices make her more human or more alien?
I thought this was an interesting question. I think it's neither and both at the same time, because the morality of it is the humanity, and her struggling against the morality of it is her alienness. And so we get tastes of both. She's not about revenge and is reluctant to help Ruthie and struggles with the idea and constantly tells Ruthie throughout the comic, you should not kill another human being no matter what they did. And so that leans to the human side. But then, her dog gets hurt and she gets super pissed. So now she wants revenge, and that's instinctually the alien side, I think. So I think we get a good mixture of both evolving as she evolves and figures out her trauma and deals with it and tells Ruthie the stories and all that stuff. I think we get elements of both her hesitation and her humanness.
I have trouble with the question writ large, talking to listener Josh in the chat. Are we making the assumption that humans are moral? Because not all humans are, moral and do the right thing all the time. So are we saying like the human part is the good moral part and the alien part is not? It's kind of a weird thing there. But what I do love about this story and about how it is both, like you said, there's a lot of depth there's a lot of morally gray and going back and forth and having to think about things and making big decisions, especially with Ruthie of like, eventually she takes on this adventure, seeing the tragedies that Clem of the Yellow Hills has done. She's like, no, this person needs to be stopped, whether Ruthie's, they killed Ruthie's father or not. we have to do something about this. And then she has to make these choices all along the way of what to do with Ruthie. And is she going to leave her behind? And should she leave her behind? Those kinds of things. But one of the other things that is very alien is this is a cosmic romp, right? They're going planet to planet, huge spans of time. There's time jumps because you imagine the traveling is just weeks and weeks and months between these planets and stuff. And Supergirl is very comfortable working with all of these alien species, and she knows the way around these different planets and can navigate the cultures of different alien places. So that's very alien in a good way for Kara as well. And I love the way things keep happening. Again, it's that Western vibe, right? She has that legend when she shows up to a town. People have heard of her, or they've definitely heard about her cousin. And there's a lot of like little things throughout the book where she's like, God, I can see why everybody hates you, Cal. Like those kinds of things where she's like, I'm very different than my cousin, but look at all this like mess that he's caused throughout the galaxy that I have to deal with because I'm related and I'm from that same planet and those kinds of things. Joan.
It almost makes me wonder if it was written in 2021. Is there a bigger theme that there are gray areas in the world? We know that politically we're divided in this country. We know that lots of things are black or white. I wonder if part of the motivation was it isn't always black or white. It is gray, and you have to make some decisions along the way that are either or. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
I think that's timeless when it comes to stories like this, where in a lawless land, who has the moral fortitude to still do the right thing? And it comes up a couple times, or maybe, I think it comes up a couple times in the second half of the book. Her mother's last words were good. And she kind of hangs on to that. And so there's all of these terrible, terrible things going on. But she's that beacon of hope, I guess, in the lawless frontier of cosmic outer space. She holds on to that. Be good.
And going a little bit of what we got into as the answer to that question, how does seeing the story through Ruthie's narration change the way we understand Supergirl?
I can go first on this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
One of the things that I love most about this comic is that it is told completely from Ruthie's perspective from in the far future. It's like a book it's basically she's writing a biography about, or an autobiography about her time with Supergirl. And what this shows without telling is Supergirl is too big. Supergirl is this legend that people know who she is and knows her name across the universe. Her story is larger than life. So we can't get the internal monologue of Supergirl. We don't know what Supergirl is thinking. We don't know why she's making the decisions. We're just looking at it from Ruthie's perspective, this little girl who was lucky enough to spend all of this time with this huge legend. We don't see what Kara is thinking because she's like a god. Right? We can only see it from the perspectives of the people who encounter her along the way.
A good point. Joan, you had said something a little bit earlier that I agree with and is really my answer for this question is Ruthie's voice is just so heavy-handed for me. It really took me out of reading, and I had to stop sometimes and actually skip some blocks because I was kind of done. I did not hear a cute Western voice, Rob. It was just so heavy. And it made it real hard. And as I did some research, I learned that a lot of people don't like Tom King's writing because it tends to be very wordy, heavy-handed. That was a lot of comments I read. Granted, when you put in a very pointed question in a search, you're going to get pointed answers. And my question was how is Tom King's writing in other works besides Supergirl? And the very common phrasing that came up is heavy-handed. And I agree with it. For me, if we weren't reading it for this nerd book club, I probably wouldn't have finished it. It kept taking me out. I just wanted to see more of what was actually happening. Give me more of that morality struggle. Give me more of, is crypto alive? I wanted to know more about the things and less about Ruthie's point of view. Could just be the frame of mind I'm in while I'm reading it right now. And in 2021 might have hit totally different. But right now it was just too heavy for me. It pulled me out of it a little bit.
That's it. I had to search for those nuggets of wisdom in her storytelling that I could then try to understand Supergirl. It was very I had to sift through all those words.
I feel like in each issue, there is just an absolute gem from Ruthie that you can sit with and kind of chew on for a little bit, though. You're looking for them, but I would say, is this a 10-issue run or a 12-issue run? It's pretty long. 8. Okay. It seemed longer.
It seemed longer.
Yeah.
It did
in
seem
each
longer.
of those
Also
8
part of the
issues,
problem.
I think there's a really good page of great Ruthie, narration in each one.
I think that's what the quote I wrote down was, in her response, I heard a whole life of regret, Ruthie says about Supergirl. And that for me, I guess as a psychologist, Supergirl's on her arc of healing and she's doing the not so helpful things right now. But I think as she develops her and heals, it'll look different as she moves forward. So there's resilience coming from this as she helps other people and develops her good or continues to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
The central theme revolves around revenge. What do you think this book is saying about vengeance? What does this book say about mercy? Dr. Joan.
I mean, I still want vengeance for my 7th grade bully. So clearly Ruthie and I are one and the same. She's old. She wants revenge. It lasts for Ruthie. But then I feel like mercy and justice come in small moments and large ones throughout that book. The bigger picture of Ruthie and Supergirl, and then each planet's mercy and justice scenarios.
And so my kind of question or my thought around this was she makes decisions with Ruthie. She has to make decisions throughout the book to continue to let Ruthie accompany her on this quest and hunt down this person. And she's putting Ruthie in epic danger all along the way. And I wonder, is there a theme of mercy with, like, did Supergirl do the right thing by Ruthie? Was it a mercy to let Ruthie come along and face her killer eventually and see the quest through? Or was it not the right decision? And really, the mercy would have been to not expose Ruthie to all of those, like, tragedies and horrors they saw across the galaxy.
Well, it was Ruthie's choice, though, right? Like, Supergirl actually left Ruthie behind, and Ruthie followed her to start this whole deal, right? I don't know that Supergirl had a choice there. I see it as, well, Krypto got hurt, and now Supergirl doesn't care. She's bringing Ruthie along, and they're going through this because she's going to save Krypto. To me, that overshadowed any question of motive, whether it was justice, vengeance, or mercy. It was, I'm saving my dog, and if I can't save my dog, I'm going to kill you instead. Like, I just, again, it circles all around what I see as this just trauma that we see through Ruthie's eyes of Supergirl going through. So I question whether or not it's about any of those things, because it's about all of those things. But at the root of it, the only reason why Supergirl agrees to it is because Krypto gets hurt.
That's funny because I don't think that that's I kind of forgot about Krypto, as I'm going through. Like, I knew, like, oh yeah, like that was like the John Wick moment of it all. The dog got killed. But as it goes through, like, it very quickly becomes this person is a space criminal and an absolutely, like, psychotic mass murderer as it's going through those planets. And the dog thing, I completely forgot about it. And again, we're hearing it from, or, we're reading it from Ruthie's perspective. I don't think Ruthie cared much about that dog. We hear a lot about Clem from the Yellow Hills who killed my beloved father on a field of rocks on our family farm. Like, I mean, every episode 3 times. But the dog thing was like, oh yeah, and the dog came back at the end. It was at the vet.
Well, that was her excuse of keeping Ruthie on for the whole time, is that I knew the dog would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So then what of her journey of vengeance and taking Ruthie along if the dog was fine all along?
Yeah, I don't know that the dog was the big motivator there. I think the motivator was we uncovered that this guy is a problem.
We also uncovered if Supergirl is continuously traumatized, she's going to be dumping on everyone else. This is what happens when you don't heal yourself first. Chaos.
From Dr. Intern Joan herself. Perfection. And maybe, again, I'm admitting full out that when the text got heavy, I just flipped pages to kind of check what was going on. And maybe I missed some exposition, but to me, it was a turning point. Krypto gets hurt, and now it's like, she's got to get more poison from the source itself in order to save him. So the Krypto was in the back of my mind the entire time. Is she going to get this poison in time to get back and have him healed? To me, it was hovering there. And you're right, it was never mentioned again. But I saw that as a turning point. No, I'm not going. Revenge isn't the greatest thing. You sure you just have someone else do it for you? And then they get to this point, and then it's like, okay, we're going. I have to get more poison.
The next one we can talk about kind of quickly. I think I already touched on it. This is a space western, which is a really fun genre for me because you see all of those things that we're very familiar with being, Americans, and like Western movies have been a strong part of our culture for decades, but they put it in space. And so all the tropes are there, but it can look very different. And you had some opinions about the cosmic superhero story, Analese.
Maybe not opinions, but I know why you like it. It's the same reason why you liked Firefly and had me watch that. This fits right in that thing, and also fits in the fact that I'm not a big fan of this genre. And like, okay, it's like Star Wars and Supergirl and Firefly and all of these things.
And that's why
it's not a like or didn't. I'm sorry, Joan, go ahead.
That's why I didn't answer this question, because I was like, I don't care.
I'm not trying to be a bum. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a bummer about it. It's just not. It's not my thing. I want to see here's part of the problem. I don't read a lot of Superman or Supergirl comics. Do we ever see Superman have to go through this kind of trauma and get on a spaceship and go planet to planet and have to accept that he's a drunk? Like, we don't. And so why are we seeing Supergirl do this? That's what kept ringing in my head. Why does Supergirl have to bounce planet to planet and deal with traumas and vengeance and all these things? And that's just what kept going in my head over and over.
She's the classic white hat Western hero. And once you get to the town and you find something's going on, you got to regulate.
I mean, it's a great D&D story for sure. This is the 20 acts of more sane, right? Like, I get why you love it, but also, as much as I loved that D&D campaign, I want to see Supergirl get the same treatment as Superman. I want to see, why doesn't she have the solid why can't she get past her traumas to the solid foundations and the steady job with the, alternate, his
secret
alter
identity?
ego, like, hey, he has a relationship with Lois Lane or eventually other women. Like, she's getting treated so differently. And the fact that it was in space just kind of, okay.
You can see that story. It's called Supergirl, the TV show, and it went for a lot of seasons, and it's basically exactly what you want. Imagine Superman, but it was a cute girl. I think this is better. I think seeing someone struggle through these like cosmic problems, these larger than life problems, is a fun way to look at a Supergirl or any superhero story. Is like, wow, this is so immense. How are they going to get through it? I also love you get to see these other planets, and sometimes their suns are green and their trees are blue and red and the mountains are pink, and there's dinosaurs, and all the aliens are like squishy, wet-eyed weirdos, and that's awesome and fun.
Classic boy reading a comic.
I guess so.
Meanwhile, Analese and I are like, why are women treated more horribly than the man character?
That's ultimately my problem with this comic.
I would say more interesting than the man character.
Okay. But it just begs the question of, would we accept a drunkard Superman purposely going to a planet where his powers are diminished? Like, again, I think me and Joan just had the same kind of parallel thing. We would never see Superman be treated this way. And if we did, would it be a popular comic, award-winning comic? I don't know. And so that's what I struggled with reading it as you're not wrong, Rob. The idea of going planet to planet, right? The idea of all these side quests, the idea of that there's all this wrong in the world. Why don't we see a male superhero have to do all that? And it just to me was the thing that I kept thinking, it kept pulling me out of this story. Like, we would never see Superman on a spaceship. And we laugh when we do, right? Spider-Man going to space, Jason Voorhees in space. Like, we laugh when it's these male characters having to do this exact thing. And that's, for me, I couldn't get into the story between the heavy-handed of Ruthie, Supergirl displaying all this trauma that we never see Superman hardly ever. Like, he struggles with the morality and the humanity kind of thing. And he gets his monologue against Lex Luthor in the new movie that everyone loves. And this is what makes me human too. Like, we get to see all that, but we don't get to see Supergirl have those moments. Instead, she's drunk and she's suffering and she goes to other planets and struggle the whole way through.
Which is what will make the movie interesting. How are they going to
Yeah, the movie might be great. I'm actually really looking forward to it. So again, don't take this as Analese and Joan hate the comic, but I think our experience with it is just a little bit different.
All right.
But let's talk about the art.
The art is both awesome and kind of bad. I love the scenes. I love the backgrounds. I love the monsters. I think the strength of the artist, whose name I definitely didn't just forget.
It was a funky
Evely. I think the art from Bilky Evely is very interesting. I think they do great eyes. Like, if I could say, like, what is one thing that stood out to you about this art, it would be like the big, wet, expressive eyes, whether it be on our hero Supergirl or on any of like the weird faced colored aliens. Like, the eyes really like bump out to do a lot of the heavy lifting as far as showing us how these characters are feeling. Super cool dinosaurs and monsters. Love it. Great big shots of spaceships, especially like the space pirate ship looks all cool and stuff. Like, that's a success. But the thing that it fails for me is if I close my eyes, I don't get a sense of what Ruthie looks like. Like, I didn't feel like the character design there was so strong that it's going to sit with me forever. Like, and I went back through it last night and we were looking, like, sometimes she's wearing this like helmet thing that goes behind her head, which I was like, I kind of assumed that was part of her skull. But then sometimes she's just there with a cute little haircut. Sometimes it looks like she's got little horns. Like, I just never got that sense of what do the people of this planet look like? And could I pick Ruthie out of a lineup of those people at all? No, that was really interesting, is I don't have that, crystal clear image of who Ruthie is or what Ruthie looks like. Excuse me. I know exactly who she is. I just don't really know what she looks like.
It's interesting that you say that because a couple of times I was going like, wait, who is this that Supergirl's talking to? Is this a new character? And I'd go back. Did I miss a new? Oh, no, this is supposed to be Ruthie. But that's not what she looked like, 10 pages ago. Yeah, I struggled with that as well. My issue is with the colors. There are some pages, as you described, like the pirate ship and stuff. There are some phenomenal coloring pages on this. And I kind of compared it to our last Nerd Book Club with Wonder Woman, where we just had this phenomenal artwork that was consistent throughout, no matter what was happening in the book. This one felt like they used this giant palette of colors for specific shots and then just 8 different colors for some of those pages that just look like, get through it. Oh, let's spend time on this one. That's what I saw. Like the lines were there.
Yeah, that could be, that's how comics work when you got to get a book out every month. But I think one of my favorite issues is the Green Sun planet. And I think the art is super successful on that one because everything's got this just harsh green tint to it. And you really get the sense of that like oppressive, hot desert rocks with this green sun beating down. It's also one of my favorites because like they built this planet to kill my cousin Superman. People really hate Superman. He got trapped here. The Justice League had to come save us. Oh my God, how long was he here? 45 minutes. How long till sundown? 10 hours. And you just feel that, oh no, this is going to be real bad. I love that issue.
This is a good point. That whole issue where Supergirl is struggling because she's on this planet with the Krypton sun or whatever. Her eyes in that whole issue, you can see pain in how they colored the eyes in that issue and drew the eyes. You make a good point with that one. What do you think, Joan?
And
about
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
true.
Elise, you said it right. Like the whole comic book is classic comic book, which I don't tend to like. I want the art to shift something in me emotionally. And it's these scenes where she goes from color to black and white. I don't remember those ones that hit me. Like this is really her falling through, and there's an emotional shift there in the art for me at that point. But other than that, it was just, all right.
There's also an interesting shift. There was a subtle shift at the very end where I feel like Ruthie's thought boxes were always yellow, and we knew that was like words on the page of the narration that she was given. And then at the end where it shows the like 200 years in the future, I believe they shift to white to let us know like, oh, now we're in this more modern thing. Something I think could have been explored that I've seen done in other comics that I think would have fit here, because I've talked about how I think the entire idea of the narration style is that Supergirl is this legend that is too big. And even towards the end, when Supergirl is once again like really trying hard and faltering, she even says the word, she's like, it's too big and we're too small. And I feel like that because of that theme, there was an opportunity there to have some certain art pieces that explode out of the lines, explode out of the gutters and the frames. I've seen that used to good effect in places. I was actually just thinking as I was saying it, like, is there a box around the big pirate ship at the end? That might be the one where there's not a box around it. I'd have to look.
I think you're right.
But because it's like, and that was one of those stories too. It's like, so there's a bunch of big like space pirates out there and Supergirl's going to fight them. We all know Supergirl's going to win, but let me tell you why this is important, and goes through the fight. And I think that's one of those things where it's like, no, this is a really big fight and she almost doesn't make it. And because of what happens there, we're going to reach a turning point with Clem of the Yellow Hills. Like it might be that one larger than life thing, so much so that the narrator even hangs a lampshade on it. Listen, you think she's going to go up there and laser blast this spaceship and everything's going to be okay. But it's worth telling you what she had to go through in this fight.
Right. Do you think Woman of Tomorrow redefines Supergirl's role in this current DC universe? Who is the Woman of Tomorrow?
I'll go last. Because I was
You want to go last? What if I
was just talking a lot? Oh, all right.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding. I kind of really already answered this, and the thoughts that just kept sticking with me while I was reading this is, do we mean the Woman of Tomorrow must constantly carry the burden of trauma and having to deal with all the things? I don't know. I don't understand, honestly, the Woman of Tomorrow behind this. I don't have a big background reading Supergirl or Superman comics. What I know is a lot of just basic pop culture kind of things. But again, we have never, at least in the forward-facing pop culture, we've never seen Superman have to act this way or deal with this. I guess I'm just tired of these tropes in comic books that the women carry the burden and they carry the trauma and they're the ones that have to be a mess, because why, I don't know. But who is the woman of tomorrow? Hopefully it's not someone who has to deal with all this trauma and burden and let someone else deal with it so that they can go about their lives. So I don't know. But I will say James Gunn has alluded 100%. I think the famous quote out there after the Superman movie came out was, yes, Supergirl's coming and she's kind of a mess. So he's going to lean very heavy into these tropes. And it's going to be really interesting to see. One, does it become as popular of a movie as Superman? Two, how do they treat this trope of women carrying the burden all the time? It'll be really interesting to see how he treats that. And I trust that he's going to treat it in some way that makes us have to talk about it.
I love this version of Supergirl. I think I love it because it is different and it is such a dichotomy to Superman. I think for a long time, and especially in like the TV show, which is arguably the most popular version of Supergirl, because you get 1,000 times more people to watch a TV show than pick up a comic, on a monthly basis. So that's the Supergirl people know. And that is Superman, but with a cute girl skin on it, right? Work at the newspaper. They got their Jimmy Olsen. They got it's just Superman, but they made it a girl. And that's fine. There can be multiple ways to tell stories with characters. I have no problem with that. But this is interesting. This is a Supergirl that remembers how Krypton was destroyed. She has post-traumatic stress. She has morally gray conflict. She deals with things like people have to deal with because of that tragedy. So I find it very interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to a movie where we see a super person who is not, standing up for truth, justice, and the American way, because she could care less about the American way. That's something where Superman is very much tied to Earth and small town values and things like that. And this Supergirl is no, she's from space. She could go anywhere, do anything, do these gigantic big things because she's not so myopic as the other super Kryptonian stories we're used to. But I think you nailed it, Analese. I got this hot take from listener Juliana when we were talking about why I put this question in of who is the woman of tomorrow. And it's exactly like you said. Women carry the burden. And when we tell stories like this, it's to acknowledge that fact and to bring these female characters to the front. And I think in an interesting way. I think when little Ruthie goes out to find somebody to help her with this vengeance quest, she immediately goes to a man, and that man literally smacks her down across the face. And constantly we are seeing this, the hero with true grit and the toughness to see this through and to keep going, even though it hurt and it was really hard, was a woman. And so who is the woman of tomorrow? I think the woman of tomorrow is the reader. I think the story, like you say, if Tom King's a little heavy-handed, I think the preachiness of this book is, hey, women, life is hard. You can do hard things. Keep going. You don't have to be this isn't the story of a Superman. This is a story of a woman trying to do the very best she can and keeping going when it gets hard. Someone with true grit.
Like women have been doing for centuries.
Sure.
And it never ends.
But we're not telling those stories for centuries, especially in comics. Comics are male power fantasies, but not this one.
Yeah. Well, and what it helped propel me into was 2026's episode about Jessica Jones, because we have a superhero who is also quite a mess, or a human, her story. And that made me more excited for that than this.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I'm gonna say, Rob, to what you're saying, I agree. But also what's in the back of my head is, by continuing to perpetuate women in this way in comics, it continues to be that misogynist, male-heavy, right? Because that male-heavy audience isn't going to see Superman in the same way that they would see Supergirl. If you plop Superman into this story, Man of Tomorrow, it's not going to be a popular comic, and people are going to rail against it.
Don't you want them to be two different characters, I guess is what I'm saying? You could get Supergirl with a Superman skin on it, or of other way around, but don't you want them to be different and interesting?
I don't want I don't have a want in either direction of this. I did not see the television show Supergirl. I was not interested in it when it came out. I'm not interested in seeing Superman with a girl's skin on, right? You're right, I don't. But what it cycles back around to as a woman is I also don't need the Supergirl to be the one to have to deal with all this. And it was interesting because in the Superman movie, they start to hint at it, right? They show this extra part of the video of his parents that allude to something else, but he deals with a little bit, but he doesn't become a mess. He doesn't really get to learn what the thing is.
It's just a story to him.
Right, but that doesn't mean, like, would we accept him having to go and learn the thing and deal with it and be traumatically, he might not have the PTSD that this Supergirl has. Like, I don't need them to be the same, but they're not treated the same. At the end of the day, if you take what we know about the traditional Superman and this issue of or these issues of Supergirl, they're not treated the same. I don't need them to be the same character. I don't want them to be the same character. But the trope of the woman carrying the burden is just getting old as I get old.
So in your opinion, Tom King is putting Supergirl through this story to, like, kind of theoretically to torture and be mean to the character rather than elevate
it's in no way, shape, or form talking about his motive for writing the book. He's got a story that he is telling. It is different than anything else, but it's always the woman. My problem with it is just it's always the woman. It's always
this
the
is
female
literally
superheroes.
A remake of the novel True Grit, which is Rooster Cogburn a man.
I mean, that's also a problem. Now you've put a Supergirl skin on a male-based character, but in that True Grit novel, did we see that male-oriented character drunk and hungover and puking into a bucket?
That's the whole thing. Yes.
Then this is no different. This is putting a woman's skin on a man's story. There's no right or wrong in this, but as a woman, it's just constantly the same message over and over that we've talked about earlier. Like, women carry the burden. You can do it. Go girl. Just, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the space adventure. I'm not buying this version of Supergirl as...
I think the problem might be that I'm bringing you comic books that are too good. I think I'm bringing you things like Wonder Woman Historia and Woman of Tomorrow and Jessica Jones. And really, we need to go back and read a bunch of comics where women are like afterthoughts. And the only way you can tell a girl apart is because one has black hair and one has blonde hair. And that the only reason they're in the book at all is for plot motivation for the man to go save them or to be angry that they got hurt. That's decades of comics.
Well, and that's all of mass media through the gift of time. We don't have to go back to read those. I don't know that I agree with you with that. Like the Wonder Woman one we read last year, the Historia, was amazing. It was amazing. The art was great, and it portrayed women in a way that the traumas were there, but they had other things going on that made them strong female characters. That's not what this is. This is her wearing that skin of trauma all the way through, and her decisions are, I mean, I don't know. I don't agree that it's a good or bad, or we need to go back and read something from the 50s. I've certainly read plenty of those, and I stopped reading The Walking Dead because of the misogyny in those. I don't think I made it past like the 4th graphic novel of it because it just became too melodramatic and very misogynist, which was unfortunate because I enjoyed the show for a long time, and I thought reading it parallel with the show because I watched it late would have been really cool, but I couldn't get through it. So like I've seen plenty of that. It doesn't make this good or bad. It just makes it what it is, and it'll be interesting. Again, I'm not seeing this comic as a good or a bad. It's just like I question why this has to be the case all the time, and I look forward to what James Gunn's going to do with it. But I still have those questions in the back of my head. I bet in terms of comparisons, Superman movie to this is going to be considered a flop. I really think people are going to go see it and be like, meh, Supergirl, trauma.
Well, it will be a bad look for me to continue to make this argument. So we really need to have some of our female listeners write in, read this book, and talk about what you think. I think this book advances the art form of comics. I think this is a feminist book, and I love it. So if I'm wrong, write on in, or if I'm right and it's real good, bring up those points that I'm not going to be able to bring up from my perspective, please.
Well, any other last comments about Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow?
I got 2 random comments.
Do it.
Comment the horse that turned human when he went to try and save Supergirl. Like random? Like whose comment? Why is he human? What's happening?
That's weird.
When it could have been Crypto that came to save the day or something. Like there was a missed moment there for me.
I wasn't surprised when Comet showed up because it's a big epic Supergirl story. So you're going to have Comet the super horse, right? I had to do some research when I saw this question. Like for me, I just know Comet the super horse is like Gleek the monkey and Tusky the walrus and Ace the bat hound and all the like weird animal pets they put in the Super Friends cartoon. I didn't really know. I'm like, oh, okay. Like that horse could have come from anywhere and any of the planets they visited or whatever. And it's, no, this is Comet, the super horse, you know, from Supergirl. And so I looked it up. Apparently in the canon, Comet was a centaur that Circe cursed and turned him into a full horse, but was a magical legendary Greek myth horse, not a Kryptonian horse. And that was Supergirl's companion. I don't know, man. Like that was weird.
That's real
and
random.
I don't know if I think it misses the mark. I mean, if we're going to look like really superficially, like they gave Supergirl a horse back in the 70s or 80s because, you know, girls like horses. And that was pretty much it. Like I didn't feel like there was any more thought to it than that. And then he transforms into a dude, and I'm like, wait, what are you telling me, book?
What are you trying to do? I instantly looked up all of the other characters that have had horses. She-Ra had a horse.
Yeah.
Rainbow Bright had a horse.
Uh-huh.
You know, like all of the girl, like it's just a girl, another girl thing. Like they have
Exactly.
horses, I guess.
Horse girl is a thing.
I don't know.
But yeah, like, but again, I'm also would love some input on that. Why does Comet turn into a dude at the end? What are you telling me, book? What are you telling me?
A tale as old as time.
I know.
All women,
I think so.
all women is a man, obviously, goes along with the other argument.
Is that, yeah, like, I don't know, like, is it creepy? Like, oh, she was like riding this powerful steed throughout the cosmos, but it was a dude. Like, what? I don't know. It was weird.
Weird.
I'm on the same page with you. I'm like, this was an odd 2 pages.
Let's make a bet. James Gunn's going to ignore that. What do we think?
Yeah,
Over
no,
or under?
Comet's not coming up in the show.
No,
Or if he does,
like,
he's not turning human.
I think there will absolutely be a Easter egg of a horse in the movie, especially if they tell a story like this and it's kind of a Western. There's definitely going to be a horse. Is it going to be Comet and is it going to turn into a dude at the end? I would be shocked because
I think he's going to ignore that part of it.
Agreed. And then my other random comment is that Krem from the Yellow Hills was redheaded, and we know redheads are stigmatized also, like they're the evil ones, there's something wrong with them.
Always.
Yeah, there's always a negative stereotype. So along with Supergirl's treatment in the book and then him, I'm like, what I don't know. Why did we choose these things?
You're absolutely right, Joan. I don't know. I can't think of a redhead character off the top of my head that is the centric hero of a story.
One of the Flashes is redheaded, I think. And one of the Green Lanterns too.
In comics or in shows?
In comics. But again, it's like you have to go back to comics and how they were made and like the very basics of printing and the limited ways people could do art. Like I said, like a lot of these people, it's like you put Superman, Aquaman, Batman in a lineup and you actually look at it. The only difference between the way they're drawn is one has yellow hair, one has brown hair, and one has black hair. That's it, because the art just didn't used to be as detailed and good as it is now.
Oh, listener Juliana says Archie is very redheaded. Archie.
Yeah. I think I was trying to monitor the chat, but it wasn't popping up. Now I got it.
I'm the intern. I got it.
Intern Joan.
But yeah, there you go. Archie.
He's
one. Everybody's favorite. That's one. But he's not a bad guy.
He wasn't stigmatized, though. I don't know. I don't know.
If you watch Riverside, isn't he a bad guy? I don't know. I didn't watch Riverside.
I didn't watch that either.
Riverdale. Sorry,
Riverdale.
Not Riverside. Riverdale. I didn't watch it, but it's a teen drama.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one redheaded, positive, non-villainous character.
I'm sure.
Or is he a villain because he always leads on Veronica and Betty? Like, make a choice, bro. All right. Our Dr. Intern Joan question of the day when we talk about the Nerd Book Club: buy it, rent it, forget about it. What is your call? Or I guess instead of rent it, borrow it. Not rent it. I say rent it, read it before this movie comes out. I do think it'll help maybe the shock of Supergirl in space story. Pigs in space. Maybe it'll help the idea behind that. I do think reading it before the movie comes out would be really, really good idea. What do you think,
That's exactly where I land too. I wouldn't own it. I would own Wonder Woman Historia, but because of the art, because of everything. This one is good preparation for the movie.
You don't have to choose. You could read both those great books. This is, let's get deep into it. When I was a kid, I used to watch John Wayne movies with my dad on Sunday afternoons. And one of those movies that would come up again and again and again was True Grit. And is it a great movie? No. Does it hold up in 2025? Certainly not. But that story and those Westerns mean something to me. So when I see this book take that story and blow it up to this epic universe spanning scale within a comic book, which is a medium that I love, with a superhero that really got a facelift and became interesting and multidimensional, I think it's a fantastic, wonderful book. I see exactly why it was award winning and has all the notoriety that it does. I think it's fantastic. So if you're like me and you love old Westerns and comic books, buy this book. But the girls are right. I think it's worth reading, especially if you're like really excited about the Supergirl movie coming up and you can get it on Hoopla because your library doesn't suck. You should borrow it and take a look.
And that is the Nerd Book Club for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Tell us what you think, nerds.
Joan, you're our intern doctor guest this week. What's the nerdiest thing you did?
Listen, Analese has dropped the ball on sending me episode transcripts to make show notes. So hard call out there. But what it did for me was allowed me to listen to 5 or 6 episodes in a row like I was just a regular listener. And I forgot how good this podcast is. Like when I'm in the trenches, I can't see it from a big overview, but it's a good podcast.
It's not
You guys should be
bad.
proud. Yeah.
Doing
You're
a show.
welcome.
You know what's funny is there's also a note in the notes of like, at Rob Cooper, can we please get a reading list for the next episode? And then you got called out. I'm like, I don't know, Annalise. I think this intern's getting a little big-headed. What do you think?
It did take me 2 years to get her anything from season 1. So, you'll get those show notes at some point.
It served its purpose. People that do not listen to this regularly should be making space for it weekly in their podcast rotation.
Yes, please tell your friends. Share our episodes. We hear this from listeners a lot, and including ourselves, that we do a good show and be our nerd best friends.
Hey, kind of related. Did you say that there was going to be a change to our YouTube offerings coming soon, or is that already happening?
We have the option through Riverside to just directly put these videos up on YouTube. Right now, every week we have an episode coming out on YouTube, but it just has our logo.
Right. It's not actual video.
Yeah. I don't know. We could talk about it in a planning meeting. It's not anything. I've not tried it. And the other thing is to realize is that means someone else may have to go in and edit the videos, because I don't know that I have time to edit the audio and video because they don't happen in the same place. So we could talk about what that means.
Gotcha. So do the patrons get video?
It would be the same thing. We could put unedited video in it if you want. We just haven't in our planning sessions, haven't really landed on what to do about it yet.
Okay. I didn't know if we were out there yet or if we were keeping my good looks behind the paywall.
Come on, Rob. We just came off an episode about misogyny, or a comic book all about misogyny, and you're like,
we are on social media. Your face is on social media, so
there you
radio
go.
voice.
My
Rob,
face for radio.
What's the nerdiest thing you did this week, Rob?
I follow a good handful of YouTube creators who do a lot of stuff in the hobbies that I love, with like 3D printing and miniature painting and tabletop games and things like that. And one of those channels is Gaming Geek, which I absolutely love. This dude is he's just like just basically another guy like me. Loves 3D printing, loves painting stuff, loves collecting all kinds of nerdy things. On his channel, he does giveaways, and I won the Gaming Geek giveaway raffle thing for October.
Wow.
And it's a 3D, basically a 3D print Kickstarter that I won. And it is, among other things, just this giant floating castle tower thing with like a giant skull on it and gargoyles and flying buttresses. And it's all kind of held up on chains. So it looks like the chains are holding it to the ground, but it's literally floating in the sky all like crazy. And it's going to be 3 feet tall. It's awesome. And so I'm like, wow, I know what I'm doing this summer.
Do you get the files to print, or you're going to get the things?
No, I'm going to get the files. Basically, I got the files to print it. So
Nice.
There's this huge tower. There's bridges, there's statues, there's different modular things you can put on the castle and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a huge painting project, and it's going to be walk back here and be like, oh, what the hell is that? And it's going to be my awesome flying crazy castle.
Do I sense a 26 for 2026?
Absolutely. We're doing it. It's going to be great.
That's awesome.
I don't know where I'm going to put it, but it's going to be great.
Lisa, what's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
All right. So, if I asked you both, if you had your top 3 favorite movies of all time, would you be able to go boom, 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 or would you have to think about it?
Top 3 movies of all time.
Of all time.
No, genre limitation.
Nope. Just your top 3 movies. Could you go boom, 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 or would you have to think?
I have my top 1, but I would need to think about 3.
Can I count trilogies
No
as
cheating.
one movie?
No. So, okay. So I asked that for you. I asked that to you, not necessarily. You could think about it. We can answer the question at some point, but mine are boom, boom, boom. It's 1, 2, 3. It's the original animated Beauty and the Beast. It's Shawshank Redemption and Almost Famous. Top 3, boom, no question. That never changes. There have been some movies that threaten to jump in there, but never quite do. And I bring that up because my stepkids were in town this week and we were kind of hanging out and I was going to take them to the movies, but they didn't see anything there that was really good. So we were kind of just scrolling through stuff and they come across Almost Famous. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And the night before we watched the biopic. Do you say biopic or biopic? I think we've asked this before, but I hear both. I think it's biopic.
That's what I think.
Not biopic, right?
It's a biography picture. It's a biopic.
Well, we saw the biopic about Bob Dylan the night before, so clearly my stepkids were into these kind of true stories. So I tell them really background. This is about the dude who wrote and directed the movie, and he as a kid was this little prodigy kind of kid, and when he was 15, 16, toured with bands and wrote for Rolling Stone, and it was this thing, and he wrote kind of like a love story or a love poem to the 70s rock and roll that he experienced. They were super into it, and then we realized the movie's 25 years old this year. I can't believe this movie's already that old. So they had never seen it. We watched it last night and nerded out about it, and they loved it, and they kind of want to watch it again tonight. But then we found out that one of them has never seen Mrs. Doubtfire, so I think that's what we're watching tonight. But nerdiest thing I did this week was nerd out about Almost Famous. It is, again, in my top 3, no questions asked, favorite movie of all time. So we watched it last night, and it's good. We stayed up pretty late kind of talking about it and all the different things that were parallel to the real life story and all that good stuff. So it was good.
I love that. If you want something related, there is a movie called Daisy Jones and the Six.
I love that show.
Yep.
So much. And that book, so much. Yep. And the show on Amazon did such a good job making a parallel to that book. And the writer of that did base a lot of that story on Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham and music of the 70s as well. So yes, high recommend on that as well. But thank you.
I'm going to go with Star Wars, Fellowship of the Rings, and the Disney's Robin Hood. But if you ask me tomorrow, it might be different because Ghostbusters is in there and Back to the Future's in there.
Back to the Future, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I could take a top 3 genre, within what's your top 3 fantasy movies? What's your top 3 scary movies? What's your top 3 comedy movies? But all time, that's a tough one.
Yep. All right. Speaking of top 5, it's another top 5 list, and our next episode is
cut the Robin Hood movie. I gotta go with the Muppet movie. It's too good.
Nope. See, yeah, it's already changed, everybody.
Yeah.
It's because it's a top 3, not a top 5.
Yeah.
Speaking of top 5s, we have another top 5 list next episode, but this time it's our favorite pop culture catchphrases. We pity the fool that don't listen to our next episode.
Spoiler alert.
It may or may not be on a list. Before you go, hit that follow or subscribe button. Drop us a 5-star rating if you're feeling the nerd love. Find us on social media at NerdBestFriends or email us podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Help us grow the nerd herd and keep the geeky goodness rolling. Rob, thank you for another great nerd book club. You may be feeling that again.
You hated.
Neither of us hate the book. It's not a binary for me, at least. It's not a like or hate. It's I read it and I'm looking forward to seeing.
Thanks for bringing us this misogynistic, terrible piece of trash.
Yep, that's exactly what I said. Thank you for saying it just right out loud. Dr. Intern Joan, always pleasure to have you on the show. Patreons, Juliana, Josh, thank you for joining us in the studio for today's episode. Go read Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
And sign up for Patreon because you'll get a Woman of Tomorrow reading guide that can help you take notes and jot down your thoughts to share with us when you read it.
That's awesome.
Best reading guide ever for our Patreons.
Very cool. I love the Chew one.
Yeah, similar.
This one's better.
Awesome.
All right. See you next week, nerds. And speaking of top 5s, we have another top 5 list next episode.
Do we?
This time, what?
Cool. Can't wait.
Tell me more.